What's going on, guys? Welcome into your Energy News Beat here on this gorgeous Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. As always, I am your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Bear Country, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, EnergyNewsBeat.com. Stuart Tully, how you doing today, my man?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood in Bear Country, but we got us a packed show.
We do. I was moving, guys, as of recently, so I appreciate you having this little 3-day vacation, but we are back on track. Honestly, we didn't miss much, at least on the U.S. side. I know Stu's got some stuff on the international side. You can check all that in a bag of chips out to my left here. But, guys, continue to subscribe to the world's greatest YouTube channel, Energy Newsbeat. Also, check us out online, EnergyNewsBeat.com. The best place for all of your energy finance news, guys. We are on the verge of having an app ready for you. It's not quite available on Apple. It is available if you have an Android. Go to the Google Play Store and download it.
One of seven.
It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm really excited to get this app rolled out. I think it's going to be really good, and I think it's really going to help us just continue to inject news into your guys' veins. We're like drug dealers, so we apologize. We offer support. We're like energy news drug dealers. We're just giving it to you in all forms, liquid.
We got a vaccine for news.
Yeah, no. Speaking of vaccines, top-line indices they're interesting. So let's just go ahead and read them right now. SPY about about a quarter of a percentage point on the downside. NASDAQ trades 0.3 of a percentage point on the upside. 10-year Dow Jones falls at 0.75 of a percentage point. 10-year yields fall 5 basis points off a couple reasons. One, as we're going to see with oil, rising COVID-19 cases around the world do not bode well in terms of just a market sentiment side. Give you guys an idea, the World Health Organization said today that most regions of the globe are seeing an increase in new COVID-19 cases as the highly contagious variant continues to spread. It's just the 1-year anniversary of what we would call the downturn that led to the bull market. If you remember about a year ago, we were going through that extremely turbulent time where we didn't quite know what was going on with COVID. Stocks dropped about 25 percentage points. Today, a year ago, started that bull run, and I think a lot of it was profit taking. We also saw Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, and Jerome Powell, Fed Chair. They spoke before the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services and honestly said nothing. I mean, Janet Yellen did apparently come out and acknowledge that assets are richly valued. I mean, she's not breaking any ground here. If you don't think assets are richly valued, I don't know what it's tough. There was some prepared statements from Jerome Powell. He said the recovery has progressed more quickly than generally expected and looks to me strengthening. This is due in significant part to the unprecedented fiscal and monetary policy actions, which provides essential household support to household businesses and communities. Yeah, no kidding. Unprecedented. I mean, a lot of money be dumped in. We heard there would be a $4 trillion infrastructure package. A lot of that going towards green energy. So, depending on what side of kind of the green energy argument more so, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because and I want to get your opinion on this, Stu, because I think that's one of the big things that's coming in here. The monetary policy's rolling out. It's clear they want to continue to spend. You've talked about inflation. What's your thoughts on infrastructure spend when it comes to maybe looking into some of this renewable stuff? Where do you think that's going to go?
Well, the Clean Air Act, I've been going through it for some of our other clients. And when you take a look at the Clean Air Act, they're able to fund microgrids and the infrastructure. Okay, that is really needed. So you sit back and say, wait a minute, we got all this power. We got to get power to the disproportionately impacted communities. All that's great. But guess what's happening, Michael? Not only inflation, taxing the poor. You're about to see a tax coming on gasoline. So with that tax on gasoline, every poor person is going to get hammered in order to pay for all this stuff. So which came first, the poor people or the poorer people? That's my take.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is going to hit in terms of that gas tax. It's skewed the interesting way. I mean, there's just a lot of spending right now, and I think but I don't think, at least, on Janet Yellen, who's part of this current administration, it seems like they've signaled they're just going to continue to spend. So it'd be very interesting, specifically when she's already come out and said asset valuations are, I read it right here, asset valuations are elevated by historic metrics. Good one. I wonder how long that took her.
Is she the IR person of the week?
Not quite. She's not quite.
Okay, we got to
Some
work
good.
on that.
It's an interesting thought. But really, where this COVID-19 news, as we talked about, was sort of buoyed the S&P 500 on the downside. That news by the World Health Organization dropped crude oil 6 percentage points. To give you an idea, we were trading last night at $61. Top line indice now for crude oil 57.55. That's $3.74, or as I mentioned, 6.18 percentage points. Brent drops 2.3 percentage points to 60.54. Back end of the WTI curve shaves 5%, 56.29. We've now reversed contango back into contango on Brent. So wild markets going on right now, Stu. It affected natural gas a little bit. They're trading $2. They're trading 2 percentage points on the downside, but it's just from a structure standpoint. I think this shows you how much crude oil was, at least the price was on was on legs right now, because everything was just going on the fact, is coronavirus over? Is it not? Any more news like this? Seriously, it's what it was. It's just cases, price. They're really an opposite inverse, and I hate to boil it down, but remember, Stu, we were at the old regime. We were doing the show. What did I say every single day? Hey, as cases go,
You're
so
wrong.
will the oil
And
price. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Natural gas is gonna be $17. No, what?
That was you. That was you, Inveris, TGS.
No, I said 320, and it hit there for 15 minutes.
It hit 320 one day. So
yes,
it's like peaked in high school, guy. You got it once. That's got it once.
Smack.
At least you had a peak. Inveris, they haven't even peaked yet. We're still waiting.
Nah, they're hopeless. Okay.
XOP shaves 4.4 percentage points off top line indices. OIH drops 5 percentage points, 185.70. Whew, again, as oil prices go, that's how we're gonna continue to see. We're gonna continue to see a drop. I'm looking, from a crude oil standpoint.
What number do you think it's gonna hit? Is what, 59 today?
Nah, it's 57.61. Like I said, it's gonna go as cases. If we continue to get worse, the bottom could continue to fall, and we could see 50 here very quickly. I think it'll be very interesting to see when the buyers come back in. Like I said, I think as this news rolls out, it's going to be very interesting. Let's take a look at some companies, guys. And again, this list on the downside. So when prices become very volatile, one thing I always like is, what are the companies that are moving heavily when that happens? Maybe they're a little more sensitive to the oil price. Maybe they have a little more debt than the average company. And I think when we look at this list, Whiting, they're down 7 percentage points. Laredo, they're down 8 percentage points. Amplify Energy, they're down 10. Ring Energy, they're down 10. All companies with a balance sheet very heavily tied to what's going on with the price of oil right now. Southwestern, they're down 8 percentage points. Mostly dead. They're on the
Miracle Max.
Miracle Max. We might need to bring them out here if oil prices keep up. But to give you an idea, guys, days like this, check downside equities. Kind of give you an idea of how some of those traders think. There's still room to make money on the upside, guys. I think the two biggest companies that you'll recognize, Extraction was up one. There really wasn't. Extraction was up 1 percentage points. Pioneer, they only shaved off 1/4 of a percentage point. Chevron trades flat. So, really outside, Permer, we had Evolve Infrastructure was up 36, but they're a $77 million market cap. So, in terms of the big boys, everything was pretty much flat. It's going to happen when oil prices are like that. It's been a couple days, Stu. Internationally, you've got a lot of stuff. Let me hear it.
Okay, but if you're ready, hang on. First one out of the block, we've got Alberta. We know the Biden administration was a little bit fast triggered, on the Keystone Pipeline. Well, Alberta's got the emerging lithium industry regulatory changes to watch for. Here's the funny thing. All of where the oil field sands are, the Keystone Pipeline was going to haul out, is got lithium, and we are going to be 40% short of all of our rare earth minerals that we need in order to have the growth for all of the EVs. So it's kind of funny that the Keystone Pipeline is tied to rare earth minerals, and Joe Biden may have just cost that one. So it'll be interesting. We'll follow it. Next one, Putin learned from Tesla. What do you think about this one? If Putin can learn from Tesla, now, what is Tesla's big thing? Their biggest profit margin is
Carbon
selling
credits.
carbon credits. So Putin has announced that he is putting out, he wants to learn from Tesla. Russia wants to use their biggest forest, bigger than India, to offset carbon credits. It is an unbelievable number that they're going to be using.
So basically what they're going to be doing, correct me if I'm wrong here, is
okay.
You can cut down trees, replant them, and because you're planting trees now, you get carbon credits that then you can use to offset and quote unquote pay for your emissions. Am I getting that right?
And you can buy them from Russia, and you claim a little like this highway or this acre is now taken care of by BP.
Okay.
So you buy the acreage carrying. Russia signs a check and says, okay, that's $175 a credit, and each acre is 30 credits. The numbers are mind-boggling. In fact, that would probably take care of the U.S. debt.
I don't think so. I'm not quite sure on that after some of this fiscal spending, but
okay,
but maybe.
Next one coming around the corner. You had just talked about fuel demand and gas and all that kind of good stuff. Fuel demand worldwide will not drop despite anticipated electric vehicle market surge, according to Global Data. Global Data went in and did a study and said the more green we go, the more gas we're going to be pushing and more oil and gas. So oil and gas investing is good, Michael. It's going to be around for a while. And the more green we go, the more oil products we need. Go figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I just put it together. Yay, ding, you just clicked. But no, all that via the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com on the international side. I mean, honestly, on the U.S. side, Stu, it was super light. We've had a little bit of a break. I think the first thing I want to cover is this is, kind of dipping into your realm, but Saudi Aramco earnings, because they dropped on Friday. We missed that. I think the biggest news to come out of that is Saudi Aramco did make its $75 billion dividend, even though free cash flow only came in at about $49 billion. So, I mean, that's still a good number to have in terms of free cash flow. Revenue, Stu, 2020, $205 billion. Operating profit of $102 billion. That's compared to $179 operating profit in 2019 and $295 billion of revenue. Give you guys an idea. Obviously they're raising debt to continue to pay that dividend, dipping into their cash reserves. I think it's tough when they're, I'm looking at a Bloomberg article right now, 15% budget deficit on the U.S. government or on the Saudi government side, and about 90% of this dividend gets paid to the Saudi government. So, I mean, they're expecting this payment in order to balance their books. Mohammed bin Salman, as we like to call MBS, it'd be nice to have this asset on your books. You can just tap for debt whenever you want. I mean, it can, he's pledged that they're trying to shift away from an oil-based economy. That's just smart, whether or not you think oil and gas is going to be around. One economy should not be dependent on one thing. You should have multiple streams of revenue. It's like a person. You shouldn't have one job. You should have many. You should have multiple streams of income.
And they're putting in the biggest hydrogen plant the world's ever seen.
They're trying. I mean, I'll give them credit. They are trying. But it didn't quite it didn't quite come through. To give you guys an idea, they don't really release the debt they have, but they give this ratio that's called the gearing ratio. So it's a measure of net debt to equity. It was -5, which basically means you have more equity to debt, which is great. All the way to 22% in February. That's a 27% swing in terms of, I mean, think about how much equity. That's a $2 trillion market cap. 22% of $2 trillion. That's a lot. That's a lot of money, Stu.
Oh, I don't know. Not to our Congress.
Just that'd be about the only other company that it's not to is the Congress. I mean, but to give you an idea, they've taken on a large amount of debt in the past 12 months.
Our Congress or them?
No, Aramco. It's just crazy. I'm just looking at the numbers here.
I'm funny.
That gearing ratio, they don't want to get to above more than 15%. Well, sorry, CFO Khalid Abu Dag. It's got to happen. I mean, you got to balance the budget somehow on the government side. So it's just very interesting. The other small thing that happened today, Oasis Midstream Partners went ahead and bought out their remaining interest in Bobcat Development and Bobcat Beartooth Midstream, which was basically a Williston-based JV that they had with those two guys. They now bought it out. This really enhances and quote-unquote streamlines their financial outlook. Really what they do is they raise 400 it's about, what do? They raised $450 million of senior unsecured notes due in 2029 via private placement. One, to fund the $229 million purchase agreement that needs to happen under the old JV to buy them out. They also have $208 million of outstanding borrowings under the Oasis Midstream revolving credit facility. So it wipes that out, throws just a new $450 million debt. Exchanging debt for debt, gotta love it. I mean, that's what you get paid to do as a CFO, right? It looks like they're going to be able to they're going to raise EBITDA from 81 to 84 immediately. Their pro forma enhances by about 3.1x. So, I mean, on paper it looks good, Stu. It just, at some point, I read there was a bankruptcy that went through. I forget the name of the company, but I mean, RBL holders got out 10%. At some point, these bankers and some of these numbers are going to be, some of these people are not going to be able to exchange debt for debt and not going to be able to continue to roll things over. And that's going to be very interesting when that comes in, whether that's now in the future. It's just going to be interesting as all these price decks continue to change. What did we miss today, Stu?
That's about it. It's good to be rolling.
Yeah, so we're going to let you guys go, get out of here, get back to work, finish your day. Thank you for checking us out on the world's greatest energy news show. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We will see you guys tomorrow.